Welcome back to Lights, Camera, Whatever. My name is Ray. We are here. We are doing this. We're going to we're on the American Girl. This is part 2. So if you haven't seen part 1, go back, squeeze your little finger, press like, and then come back to this video, right? This is part 2 for American Girl. This is Lights, Camera, Whatever. I'm going to reread the description for you, right? Because I know you want to hear my voice. Now, the description says, let me read this very, very, very slowly for you. Not that slow. When her mother gets sick, 13-year-old Finn moves back to Taiwan, where she struggles to fit in amid the 2003 SARS epidemic. Remember, guys, let me reiterate. This is part 2, right? So go back and watch part 1. So we're going to jump into the first question. And I know this is kind of a little bit of a stab at the United States of America, right? It's called, should universal health care be a basic human? I'm not going to jump too far into the politics. I'm not going to bash my own country. But guys, let's be realistic. Come on. Should universal health care be a basic human right? I say absolutely yes. And I'm not going to jump into the politics, but I got to talk about my opinion. I think that someone in any country in the world should not die because they can't afford a bill. I just think that's, guys, seriously, you should not have to die because you can't afford the medical resource that is actually available. It's just you don't have the money, right? So I think universal, because I'm in Taiwan, right? Because I have a company here, business here, RBZ English, right? So because I opened a company, one of the requirements is that you have to apply for insurance. So I have universal healthcare here in Taiwan. So if you're trying to come here to Taiwan to get an APRC, permanent residency, you have to get health insurance. And trust me, you want it. You absolutely want it. Taiwan is amazing for that. But U.S. does not have it. I think the requirement in the U.S. is that you got to have a job to get health insurance. That is absolutely crazy. And there's a lot of countries in the world that just give it to you because you're born a citizen. So yes, for the first question, it says, should universal health care be a basic human right? Absolutely should. Absolutely should. But we live in the countries that we do. If you're one of the big developing countries like me, you know how it is. You know the rules, and we don't know what to do to change about that, right? But one great thing about Taiwan is they do have universal health care, right? And it's amazing. So if you're coming here, enjoy that, right? And don't be crazy. Don't just be going to the doctor every time you sneeze or, you're sweat. Some people go to the doctor because they're sweating, right? It's like, nah, don't waste the resources from this national health insurance because it's really one day it could save you. Because in the States, I remember, I'm not trying to politicize, but I remember I was a CNN article. The one woman had to pay like $300,000 for like an open heart transplant surgery. And she actually flew to India for $10,000 and got the surgery. And guys, this $10,000 is including the plane ticket. That is absolutely nuts. But in the States, it was like $330,000 like that. USD do the same thing. So I'm not saying that the States is crazy, but I'm not saying that the States is not crazy. Haha. But universal healthcare is amazing. So if you could live in a country like Taiwan has it, if you can live in any country like Taiwan or another country that has it, you should enjoy that. Now, the second, that was a kind of more lighter one, but this is the lights, camera, whatever. So we got to go through the whole thing. So next question, how to explain divorce to your kids? How? I think that you don't have to, kids are going to grow up and realize something's different. But right now, there's so many couples that are not really like displaying their love publicly. So actually, if they're at a certain age, I would say you don't have to say too much. You can just say that, hey, due to the circumstances and situations, we live like in different places. If you guys are living separately, right? But if you guys are living in the same place, you say, oh, okay, we're more comfortable sleeping in separate rooms because your father has a, crazy snore, or your mother, kicks her legs or something like that. So we live in separate rooms. I think there's a softer way that you can say, okay, we divorced, right? You don't need to shower them and pour that on them so early at an early age. Later, they will kind of see like, okay, wait, like some of my other friends' parents are like holding hands or kissing or cuddling when I go to their house, whatever, when we have like sleepovers. they'll see the difference, right? And they'll notice. But at the same time, I think you should be cautious, very cautious of the age that you kind of deliver this information, right? Because you don't want to damage them too early, right? So I think that you should, with your partner, I'm going to go back to the same open willingness communication, right? Talk to them about this. So remember, these are some of the points from the show. I'm not saying in the movie and then from the movie. I'm not saying that they divorced or they didn't divorce, but these are some questions that I extracted myself that me and you, the audience, can discuss, right? How to explain divorce to your kids. The reason why I mentioned age first is because you do need to take consideration of the age, but how to do it, right? That would depend on your family situation and your family traditions, right? Like I said, there's so many people like around the world like that want a divorce, but they can't, right? So they're kind of, they could be attached from an asset perspective, like from a house or financial assets or money or things like that. And I think that you have to kind of evaluate your own situation to determine that answer, what to do. But from my perspective and my recommendation, I think open honesty is the best depending on the age. But if they're very small, I think you don't have to say too much because they're too small. Otherwise, they're just going to run around, oh, my parents are divorced. Guys, kids are smart already. So you be cautious about that, of how you do it. Now, the next one, it says how to teach kids how to speak nicely without attitude. Oh, this is crazy, right? Like, I mean, I got so many, kids have nasty mouths, right? They of course, that's around the world. That's nothing, distinctive to any country or any demographic. Around the world, when kids get a certain age, they start using those words. I would just say to my kids, I say, hey, like, I'm hurt by that. I'm hurt by your words. Like, could you rephrase that? Like, could you say that a different way? I think that sometimes kids say things to hurt you and they know they're hurting you, but they're not really, they could be intentional, but I like to think in my good heart that they're not intentional. I like to think that they just said that because it was the word accessible in their brain and that they heard it somewhere and they saw someone's reaction when it was used. And so that's the best weapon that they have. I really honestly think that. Because I think our kids love us. I think our kids will not try to hurt us like that, but sometimes they say things because they know they could use it and they know our reaction because they know we love them, right? So I think the best way to say is like, hey, like I was actually hurt by that. You hurt my feelings. I think yelling right now doesn't really help that much. I think right now it really goes back to the big C word, communication. You got to be able to communicate. Communicate with your kids clearly that this word is very hurtful. Please, if you don't, it's going to come back and backfire, and then they're always going to be mean to people and nasty to people, and they will not have partners in the future, and they won't have friends, and they would just be constantly giving you that negative energy. So talk to them openly with willingness and communication to say, hey, you hurt my feelings, and teach them the other way to say things, right? Don't just say you hurt my feelings. You need to express to them the numerous ways to say how you feel, right? That's how to teach kids to speak nicely without attitude. Now, the next one, should teachers be allowed to hit students for bad grades? For bad grades, no. No, not for bad grades. But if you're like beating on other students and things like that, yeah, you can have a couple taps on the hand. But I mean, for them to have bad grades, teachers should not be able to touch the kids. And right now it's really sensitive right now. Like people are like, we'll sue you for the smallest thing right now, especially like, in some around here, like you'll be sued for doing like the smallest thing or not doing the thing that the parents expect you to do. So be careful, teachers. It says, should teachers be allowed? I think they should not be allowed to hit the students for bad grade. I know it's the old conventional way and what this vicious cycle that parents say, okay, it was around when I was little, so whatever. I think that's not the way to do it. You got to teach what's right. Just be what's right. Whatever's right, that's the way it should be done. Should teachers be allowed to hit students for bad grades? Absolutely not. I just wanted to run through that one because the next one I got to talk about. And this one drives me crazy because a lot of my students complain about this. These line groups, guys, these line groups with the teachers, leave these teachers alone. These dinosaur parents, these helicopter parents, trust me, you are doing no good. You're doing no justice bashing teachers in a line group. Trust me, you have to change. The parents out here who are doing this in these line groups that are constantly just nagging the teacher and expecting like more privilege for their child. There's probably 30 students in that class. Your child is no more privileged than the other child. And if you think your child is more privileged than the other child because of your financial situation, your child is going to have a big awakening when he gets older. It's not. Guys, stop bashing these teachers and line groups. You are not helping anything. You are only making the world more toxic, more vicious, and unsafe, because they are teaching your kids. They have taken the responsibility to teach your kids. But my students are showing me the line group chats. So don't think I'm just talking. I have a lot of students. I have a lot of clients here in Taiwan and Taipei, throughout Taiwan. They all showing me the line groups and say, Ray, what do you think about what the teacher said? Is she right? And I'm like, look, leave the teacher alone. Genuinely, like, it's over picky. They call them dinosaur parents here, right? The helicopter parent. Don't do this. Don't do it. Communicate with the teacher in person. Don't lash out at a teacher in an open group chat. Like, talk to them in person. Like, be adult, be what you are. You are an adult. Be an adult, be responsible. Don't do this, guys. Don't do this. Now, it says, should you be angry at your child if they can't adapt to another educational culture? Of course not. Why? Why should you be angry? Like, first of all, you put them in a certain culture in the beginning, and then you changed. Yes, they have to change with you because you are the parent. But don't be angry at them because they're just not, adapting. You can be angry if they're not trying to adapt. If they're not making an actual, genuine attempt to make change, right? To try. You have rights to openly discuss. But being angry, guys, yelling at people doesn't help anything. You got to be able to open, willing communication. Trust me. You got to have an open, willing communication. You can't be angry because someone is not adapting as you hope. That, again, that's that big E word, expectations, right? You can't put them in a new educational culture and expect them to just adapt and acclimate like overnight. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. Talk to your child. Say, hey, what's going on? The problem, guys, is that we could just talk to kids and have really good conversation and figure out 99% of the problems. But 99% of the parents don't have the time and patience to actually have this conversation. So as a result, we just yell and angry because it's easier. It's easy to yell. Say, why you just don't adapt? Why you? But say, hey, like, could you share with me some reasons that are causing you discomfort in the classroom? Or what would be an ideal situation that would make you comfortable in your classroom setting, right? Just some core little questions that could just change the whole dynamic of the situation. It really could if you just rephrase the question and get away from the anger. It could help you in so many ways. So many ways if you just had a little bit of patience to have a little bit more conversation. But right now, everything is instant and immediate, and that deals also with our kids. We want them to be perfect immediately. We want them to grow fast immediately. We want them to be handsome or beautiful immediately. And guys, it's just going to come backfire. Because what if they wanted you to be a perfect parent immediately? Oh, now we're quiet. Now we're quiet, right? So it says, should you be angry at your child if they can't adapt to another educational culture? Of course not. Because if you're taking a child, like in a movie, from an American education system to a Taiwanese education system, man, it's going to be a huge wake-up call. When I was little, we went home, I dropped my bags off, I was outside immediately. I didn't, parents said when the street lights come on, you be home. And that's exactly what I did. I came home, grabbed my clothes, and I'm gone. I had a ball in my hand or a bat, and we were going to go play, or a bike, right? The 3 Bs, a ball, a bike, a bat, right? We were out. We were gone. Or we went to somebody's house to play video games together as a group. Or we went somewhere to walk somewhere, to do something as a group. We were outside. But here, you go to school all day. You go home, right? You don't go home. You go to cram school. After cram school, you go to the next cram school. And then after that second cram school, you come home to study more. Yes, I know even when I said it, it sounded bad, right? It sucks, right? But that's the system. I don't know how it would change, but that's kind of the reality of it. That's exactly how it is, right? So should you be angry? No. You put them in the system. They got comfortable. They liked it. They were in it, and you stripped it away. You took it away. You can't do that, right? You can do it, but you can't be angry. You got to give them time. Now, it might be a little bit longer. I mean, because if someone's been in another country for 5-6 years, there's no possible way they're just going to adapt to Taiwanese culture overnight. It's not a FedEx. It's not a UPS. You got to give them time to acclimate. Otherwise, it's you're going to be fighting a war with yourself, because the kids are not going to do that. They need to adapt, right? Next one, love and hate, two sides of the same coin. Yes, this is a crazy one. Love and hate, two sides of the same coin. Two sides of the same coin. How to say this? Because sometimes the hate that you give is also categorized as love. And why I say that sometimes is because some people out there just cannot communicate their meaning. So the hate that you feel is actually love for you. Actually, it's just some people don't know how to express love. When they have a concern, or they have a disappointment or disagreement, they can't, because a lot of people are not raised to the big C word, communicate. I'm going to come back to this word many times in this podcast. You have to learn how to express. But there's millions and billions of people who don't have listen to this, they don't have the ability to express. And two, they don't have the willingness to express. These are two double, that's a double whammy, right? They don't have the ability. And second, even worse, to exacerbate the situation, they don't even have the willingness. So they just get angry and they hate you. But sometimes from a child's perspective, we're speaking from a parent to a child. This is an American girl, talking about an American girl coming from the States. Father's Taiwanese, mom is Taiwanese, but she grew up a lot of her life in the States, and now she's back, right? Because the mom got sick. So speaking from a parent to child perspective, just because they say I hate you doesn't mean they hate you at the moment. I mean, unless you're beating your child every day, I pray for you, because eventually you have to have somebody watch and look over you when you get older. Good luck with that, because you've been beating them all the time. But if you're not beating them all the time and you're giving them everything they need, all the necessities that a child has, clothes, water, electricity, the stuff that they will always take for granted until they become parents, then it's okay, right? Because you've done what you can. You've done what they should. You've given them what they should have. You've given them the necessities. And for them to have hate, they're just basically being teenagers, right? But no, love and hate are two sides of the same coin. And it is a question mark here. So that means I want to know your comment on that, on love and hate are two sides of the same coins. Sometimes the hate that you get and receive is actually love. It's just a little bit twisted, just colored in a different paint. And the shape is a little bit different from what you expect, and that's why you should not have expectations. Now, the next one, would you defend your partner if your child badmouthed them? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. If one child just found out that, okay, there's one parent I can just raid on verbally, they're going to constantly raid on this parent, because this parent will not step up for themselves. But I would talk to my partner and say, hey, this child is a child. Humans sense weakness naturally. And if they're weak in other situations and circumstances in their life, and they found another way to channel that anger out, they're going to find the channel. And the channel is going to be you, the partner who didn't speak up. But if you are being badmouthed by your son and say, hey, don't do that, don't say that. No, you got to have a real talk. These words, hey, be nice, don't say that, they don't work anymore. This is 2024. They don't work anymore. You got to sit down. You got to grab that child on his shoulder, sit him down, and look him in his eye and say, hey, this is what's going to happen. And this is what's going to happen next time you talk to me like this. And by the way, you hurt me. As a parent who loves you, you hurt me. You got to have an eye-to-eye contact. And stop, guys, parents out there, stop giving these warnings like, oh, I told you, I'm warning you. No, you sit down immediately and say, hey, let's talk right now about this right now. And if you do this again, this is what I'm taking away. And if you do this again, this is what your summer is going to look like. Be very direct. Don't give them this second chance. It's like, hey, like that wasn't nice. The guys, these words don't work anymore. These kids are on Instagram. They see everything. They're just using what they see in the entertainment world and throwing it back at us. And remember, we gave them the accessibility to see that. So don't blame them or don't blame yourself, because you did it to yourself, right? You are your choices. You gave them that phone too early, and they were on the phone all the time, and that's what's going on. You gave them the accessibility to social media, And now they're using whatever they can see in the world back at you the moment they can. And you probably had a sweet little angel, I know, as the son of her daughter. And now they're just like, bad mouthing you all the time, talking back. And you're like, where's my little sweet boy? Where's my little sweet girl? They're gone. But you can help them grow the right way because they will have a lot of enemies, if not. That's very, very important. That's very, very important. Very, very important. Now, the last one I really, really like. We got to end it on a little bit of a light note, right? What animal would you be in the next life? Oh, my God. I would say Ninja Turtle. I'm a Ninja Turtle fan for life, but I'm not going to say a turtle. Let's see. That's a really, really good question. What animal would you be? And it is a connect because, this is in a movie. Remember, I'm not just talking about random stuff. This is all from the movie. What animal would you be in the next life? Oh, I would be a killer whale. When you grow up your whole life and you think great white shark is like the best thing in the world, it's the most coolest, and then you hear like killer whales are like killing them for fun. That's pretty cool for boys. I don't know for girls. Girls are probably like, oh, that's disgusting. But also I think because of movie, I wasn't really a Jaws fan, but oh my God, if you're around my same age, you probably also love the movie Free. I was in love with Free Willy. Ever since then, I fell in love with killer whales. I love killer whales because of Free Willy, the movie. Very touching movie, and the problem is still going on today. That's what sucks about it. Free Willy was out when we were kids. I super love Free Willy. So because of that, and because they hunt in packs, and they're very smart, they're very strategic, right? And they're also mysterious. Right. They're very, very, we actually don't know too much about them. But I would, if it was me, guys, I just want to know, please type in the comment section because I got to know. If it was me, Ray, lights, camera, whatever, the guy you're looking at right now, looking at the microphone all crazy, right? I would be a killer whale. So tell me what you would be, what animal you would be in your next life. Remember, this is part 2. We discussed the American Girl on Netflix. Just type in American Girl. And thank you guys for watching, lights, camera, whatever. Remember, I got to know your comments. I need your comments because your opinion matters. I want to know what you're thinking. So this is lights, camera, and whatever.